Welcome back, everybody, to the South Endzone. I am Chad. You see Tyler there. I'm coming fresh off of a beatdown of, look, all due respect to the troops, but LSU just beat the dog snot out of Army. But Tyler, y'all didn't lose either.
No,
y'all
we
had
didn't.
A healthy win against bye week.
Toughest opponent of the year. Tell you what.
How's the vibes? Did y'all have anybody besides Brock Bowers who needed a week to just kind of get healthy? Because now LSU's going into that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But like, how is Georgia making it through the bye week so far?
Pretty good. I mean, like we said, Brock's still going to be out till I think the postseason. But I think this, like we've talked about before, like this bye week could not have come at a better time for us, Brock Bowers or not, because of just like, you wouldn't think it, but like this last part of our schedule is the gauntlet, right? Mm-hmm. Bye week was our last cupcake of our schedule, right?
Yep.
We kick off. We go right down to Jacksonville this weekend, and it's it's full speed ahead until we play Georgia Tech at the end of the year.
Right. Yeah. Florida this weekend, then Missouri, then Ole Miss, then at Tennessee. I mean, that is not an easy 4-game stretch, even though it's 3 out of 4 at home. Those 3 teams are nothing to be taken for granted or overlooking or anything like that. Yeah. So you guys got your work cut out for you, and then going to Neyland Stadium on the road. And the Tennessee fans are going to be wanting a little horrible revenge for last year, man.
Yeah, Georgia Tech's practically a home game. We play a Bobby Dodd in Atlanta anyway, so and we have we're playing neutral against Florida this weekend. But yeah, one on the road against Tennessee. I'm also glad we have Ole Miss at home, and I'm also glad we have Mizzou at home because I know that Mizzou has fed on their crowd this year. Like we need people in Sanford. That is the biggest thing. We need people in Sanford, and the cocktail party. They do such a good job of literally keeping that stadium literally half red and black and half blue and orange.
Yeah, I forgot about. I said home game because I didn't see the at, but it's written right there on the screen. I just completely missed it. That's I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
but
it's cool how they do it though.
Site.
It's literally half and half.
Right.
I think that everybody's going to be looking a little sharper, a little healthy. I hope they have had a lot of time to talk about how they want to proceed. You know what I mean? It's like Brock Bowers goes down and you only have a week to figure it out. You had 2 weeks to figure out what you want to do after that.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, okay, we can work a lot of guys in. We can practice what we want to do. And we have 2 whole weeks to do that before going into the meat and potatoes at the end of the schedule.
And so we'll get into that cocktail party in just a minute because I want to go deep into that because you guys actually have a game this weekend. LSU does not, and in a similar way, I guess the bye week couldn't come at a better time for LSU either. It always comes. LSU and Alabama both take their bye week the week before they play each other. It's been happening for a while now, ever since Nick Saban got there, and so not for nothing, like. There's some bumps and bruises that LSU needed to get healthier on. And I don't know how many guys they're going to get back for the Alabama game, but just being able to, like you were talking about, just being able to manage how you're going to get people ready when you have 2 weeks to fill those holes that are going to be there, because there are a couple of guys, Mekhi Wingo up the middle, probably not going to be available for Alabama. We'll see. It's possible, but it's not looking likely. And then Zy Alexander, LSU lost yet another cornerback. So LSU now has they had J.K. Johnson, who came over as a transfer from, was it Ohio State? Pardon me if I don't remember. But anyway, J.K. Johnson. You had Denver Harris, who came over from Texas A&M. And then Deuce Chestnut from Syracuse. And then Zy Alexander from Southeastern. All 4 of those transfer corners are J.K. Johnson is out for the season. He was out before the season even started. Deuce Chestnut and Denver Harris are currently, in the words of Brian Kelly, still on scholarship, still enrolled, but they are not with the team.
Oh.
So they're still in good standing with the team, but they're not participating. So I don't know what's going on. Like there's a lot of there's rumors about them, looking at other schools. That one of them, took a trip to another school when he said he was going to see family or something. And I'm not sure what exactly is going on, but they're still on scholarship. They're still enrolled, and they're still, quote unquote, part of the team, even though they're not participating in practices or games. So they're not available. That's the big takeaway. And then the worst part about that Army game. So just real quick, going into that Army game, we talked about it last week. The biggest thing that you want to do in a game like that is come out of it healthy. You want to get your job done, put up your numbers, whatever you can do in the first half, and then get out, get healthy, and make sure that you're available for the stretch run, but more importantly, that Alabama game next weekend. Well, right before the end of the first half, Army throws like a deep ball, Hail Mary style, and LSU intercepts it. And Ashton Stamps, who's Zy Alexander, who's the transfer from Southeastern, right down the road in Louisiana, who had been playing really well. He was the other corner. They had Sage Ryan playing one corner and Zy Alexander playing the other corner, and had really started to improve and was playing well. Well, he picks off the pass, and during the run back gets tackled, and now who knows how long he's going to be out with an ankle. On a play when you're up 38-0, and you could have just taken a knee as soon as you intercepted it. And it's just very unfortunate. So now LSU's scrambling, and we may see a couple of true freshmen at corner, and they've got people who were playing safety now playing corner. But like we said, that's one of the benefits of having this bye week. You knew all this, about Denver Harris and Deuce Chestnut. You knew about J.K. Johnson, so you knew those guys weren't available. You've already been kind of patchworking it together, and now you just lose one more guy. So you have 2 weeks to get those guys worked into the system, make sure you have the right fits for where they belong and who's best for what matchups and everything. And you do have Sage Ryan on the other side, who can at least, as best as he can, try to lock down the other side while you kind of smoke and mirrors the rest of it. But that secondary, it was a problem before the season even started. It was one of my concerns, and combination of, I don't know, injuries plus this weird stuff that's going on with, I don't know if it's mental stuff or if it's personal stuff or what, but like just having guys not being part of the team, it just makes it tough. But like we were saying about the stuff with Brock Bowers, not having him is one thing, but having 2 weeks to patch together what you need to do to make up for his absence is a big help, because you get some time to work guys in and build a plan around what their skill sets are and how they can best be utilized in his absence. Yeah, exactly. Also, another running back, Kendall Milton, also looks probable to play this weekend. So that's good. That's good. But I said Oscar Delp has luckily, like, it's not like you said, you talk about true freshmen and people like that, maybe playing for the first time, maybe doing this, that. Like, Oscar Delp has played alongside Brock Bowers and played in almost all of our games to some capacity this year, in games that matter. You know what I mean? Like, he played in the South Carolina game, he played against Auburn. He's been in all these games. We always have run more than one tight end in our receiving core. We did it with Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington last year. But yeah, I'm liking that we're going to be rested. I think also, I hope that it's given us enough time to look at our game planning a little bit. Can I just say something real quick, though? Like, can I just call you on something? Yeah. I got to talk my shit while I can. Okay. I was like, did I say something? But you just said our important games, and you talked about 2 games, South Carolina and Auburn, where the 2 teams you're talking about are combined 5-9, 1-8 in the SEC. I'm just saying. He's played in every game. And these are your big games. These are your big games that you've played so far. He's played in every game, and every game is important. Leave me alone. We're undefeated still. I don't know what you want from me. Like, he's playing every I know. Like, I can't. That's why I said I got to talk it. I got to talk it while I can, because if we start talking about some of our losses, it's like, I would take undefeated against your schedule over the 2 losses that we have. That
I got to reach back 2 seasons to find a loss, Chad.
Yeah. Oh gosh, God, come on, man.
Like, I'm
All
sorry.
Right. Anyway, so continue what you're saying. I'm sorry.
But like I said, he's played in every game that we have had so far this season, which is important because it's not like the first game nerves won't be there.
Not going to have butterflies. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, like obviously the load is going to be way heavier because of Bowers not being there. And it's down in Jacksonville. It is, an unforgiving environment. Luckily, it's not down in the swamp. So it's, we will have half a stadium at least being on our side as opposed to maybe a quarter.
So that's interesting. So you guys don't ever have to play in the swamp.
Well, they don't have to play in Athens either. But yes.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like it's
yeah, it used to be yeah. No, we don't have to play in the swamp.
Because we've played Alabama like in Birmingham and done some other it's typically like Birmingham or Tuscaloosa, one of the two. And so Birmingham's a little bit different because it's not on campus,
Yeah.
But that's just interesting because that makes a big difference. And yeah, having that split, they don't have to go play in Athens either.
Yeah.
But you don't have to play there. So it's like neither one of y'all ever gets to really benefit from that, but you also don't have to deal with.
Yeah, like I said, it's literally like I tell you, look at the game this weekend. You will literally see it split right down the middle of orange, blue, and orange, and red and black. It's pretty cool.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I said I've never been. I've always wanted to go because it's Jacksonville, man. You're on the beach.
Yeah,
like, are you kidding me? It's warm all the time. It's you can it's you can drink. It's world's largest outdoor cocktail party. 2 SEC teams descending on a beach town to hate each other and have some fun while we're doing it.
Right.
But yeah, looking at this Gators team, I mean, I can't say I don't pay attention to our opponents until it's time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to look too far ahead. I just always have
Graham Mertz is like he's kind of a
dollar store Tim Tebow.
Yeah, he's
that's like my vibes that I'm getting.
I don't know. I mean, I think
he's close to 2,000. He's close to 2,000 yards passing this season.
Yeah, he's a better passer. I was going to say he's a way better passer than Tebow was. I don't know if he's
wearing the 15,
fullback linebacker truck mentality that Tebow had. But he's wearing 15, which just seems sacrilegious.
I'm surprised to let anybody wear that jersey.
It's like having somebody for the Bulls wear 23 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
May not be on that level, but I mean, the dude was like
he was the guy.
He won multiple national championships.
Heisman
when he was there and won a Heisman. It's now granted when he won the first national championship, Chris Leak was the starting quarterback, but he was still he played. So anyway, it's just wild.
But as long as we don't get into any fights at the end of the game, I think we'll be just fine. But I feel like we're a little bit better than Tennessee in that regard. I mean, I don't know. Kirby, I feel like you would be off a team in an instant if you did that on Kirby Smart's field, unless you're George Pickens, throwing Georgia Tech players around the field. That's a different story.
Yeah.
But,
well, so let's talk about, because we talked before we came on, we talked about the fact that there are some people there's some little rumor, there's some little whispers of an upset in this game. And while I can see it from like if you played this game 2 weeks ago, in the middle of what you guys were going through and everything, and coming right off of the Brock Bowers injury and all that stuff, I would, if this game had been in place of the Kentucky game, I would have thought, oh, okay, this one could be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know, like Kirby Smart off a 2-week bye, like having 2 weeks to prepare and get his team ready. I don't know, man. And Florida coming off of a couple of big wins, like I tend to think this is going to be. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but the 14.5 is about right, and I'll be surprised if you guys don't win by 2 touchdowns.
Things get weird in Jacksonville. Like last year, it was. We leaned on our defense so heavily up until like our offense got going, but we had the graces of Nolan Smith having back to causing having 2 turnovers and things like that. Like it's a different team, and I feel like the public forgets and a lot of other people forget is that you can't none of our defense is the same as last year. Not none of it, but all of the big time players that we talk about, they're all playing on Sundays, mainly for the Eagles. But like,
right.
you know what I mean? Like, and how,
which is crazy. Like, that's
you know
just
what I mean?
wild.
It works great for me. But it's like you can't always replicate like Alabama did in the transfer era. Like we can do enough. Obviously, you win a national championship, people are going to want to play for you. But like you still have to have a little bit of growing pains when you're getting new guys in on the season. So like
so it's important to, because it's one thing to have like 5 or 6 guys, you know, a couple on the offensive side, 4 or 5, you know, 3 or 4 on the defensive side, go in the first couple of rounds of the draft, and then you just kind of reload, but you have other first round guys coming up behind them. It's another thing altogether, because LSU experienced this a couple of times. The 2019 team, like almost everyone who helped make that magical 2019 season happen, gone after 2019.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think, I want to say they had like, Grant Delpit.
It wasn't Terrace Marshall and
Terrace Marshall stayed. Marshall stayed, but and Derek Stingley, but they both chose to like opt out halfway through the 2020 season because they had the COVID thing where you could just basically say like, I don't want to play because I'm scared or whatever the hell it was. It was something weird. So that was one thing. But yeah, like there was so much talent that just got sucked out of that roster into the first round.
Yeah,
Rashard Lawrence was even like a 3rd round pick. Oh, and Thaddeus Moss too.
Yeah,
like we had our tight end, 2 of our receivers, our starting running back, our starting quarterback. I think we had a couple offensive linemen in there too, defensive linemen. Oh, Patrick Queen and who was the guy? God, the guy who he got suspended and then he came back.
Surtain was not a LSU guy, right? Or no.
Patrick Surtain, no, he was an Alabama guy. Don't reopen that wound. Because he was committed to LSU, and then he was right there on the fence, and everybody thought he was going to LSU, and we lost him to Alabama, of course.
Like the whole, like I said, like the whole of the first, am I wearing the first 2021, everybody that was on this roster right here is in the NFL. The whole starting 11 on defense is in the NFL now. So like it's growing pains, but I think that like we have taken more lumps than anybody would have expected us to, and still come out on the positive end. Which is good, because like I said, there are guys on this team that don't know what it's like to lose a college football game, and that can be scary.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like you have to learn from the close ones so that they happen less and less as time goes on. And these are the biggest games of our year, and I think that we're going to be okay. Hopefully, we get Brock Bowers back later in the season, postseason, things of that nature. But I like that we had the time off, and I think we're going to be ready for Florida this weekend. There was some sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying it's different. It's different from basketball because basketball, there's more luck involved. You can just have a bad shooting night. You can actually be better than a team and lose on any given night if another team's hot and you can't hit stuff and whatever. But you even see that in the NCAA leading up to the tournament, leading up to March Madness. Is I tend to feel a little bit better about a team that loses a game late in the season, and that they'll turn it around and start to get moving. I'm really, really leery of a team that's won like 15 straight going into March Madness.
Yeah,
because they haven't really tasted adversity in a while. And when you get into that big tournament, the first round, if you're a 1 or 2 seed, you're probably okay. Shout out to Virginia and Maryland, Baltimore County.
Yeah. UMBC.
Yeah. So, but generally speaking, number 1, number 2 seed, you're okay into the second. But everybody, by the time you get to the second round, you're playing top 25 matchups.
Yeah.
Like every game from that point on. And so I tend to favor the teams that have had to deal with a little bit of adversity recently, because they're they already know they still feel that, and they still are motivated by that, and they don't kind of go through things on cruise control. I think college football is going to seem very similar to that starting next year with the 12-team playoff.
I'm excited for that
because now you're going to be able to have multiple 2-loss teams in the playoff, maybe even a 3-loss team sneaking in as an 11 or 12 seed, something like that. And losing one game, like dropping this game or losing the SEC championship, is not going to mean you don't have a chance at being in the playoff. It's just going to mean that you're probably going to take a hit seeding wise.
Yeah.
But in some ways, hell, maybe it might be better for you than to be, flying high and then you go in and you get knocked out in the second round of the playoff. Yeah. So I see what you're saying. Like, I think having that, that group of guys who have never lost a game in college, maybe having them stub their toe once.
Yeah.
If it doesn't look too bad and you get to, stay, I don't know, on the good side with the committee, you might be better off losing one than getting to the playoff and you still haven't lost in 2.5 years. And now you're like, man, don't make the loss happen now, please.
Yeah, for real. I mean, yeah, man, I think we'll be all right. But I think that, I don't know. You're talking about us being magical and pulling out wins and not losing. Talk about Alabama, Tennessee. Let's move on to last week. Some other teams around the league.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, man?
They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook. That's what Josh Heupel should have said.
Yeah.
In his post-game press conference, because when I saw that game, like, I really, like, that's exactly what I thought. When I saw Alabama, Tennessee, and like, Tennessee's got multiple opportunities to go up by 2-3 touchdowns early. And then they could have been up by 3 or 4 going into the half. And they're only up by 13 points. And I'm just like, man, you done poked the bear and then, hung around to wait for him to wake up.
Yeah.
Like, you got to put them away when you got the chance. You can't just leave them alive. That was the classic example of the horror movie where Jason or Michael Myers or whoever is in your house and you knock him unconscious and he's laying on the floor and you just go check on somebody instead of just beheading him right there.
Yeah.
Like, just finish him. Finish him. Yeah. You cannot leave him there.
Yeah.
Because you're going to come back and he's not going to be there anymore. And now you don't know where he is. And that's what happened to Tennessee.
No, that's what we're saying. It's like Alabama is like a team where, like, if they give you chances and they don't give people many, you have to take it. And you can't let them get back in it. No matter, you have to play your best brand of football, especially when you're up against Alabama. Obviously, when you're down, that's one thing. But when you are beating Bama, you're up against Bama. Take it from somebody who's, been up against Bama and then not. It's down to the wire every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that reminds me of, like, back in 2012 when LSU played Alabama, had them in Tiger Stadium. Odell Beckham and Zach Mettenberger hooked up for, like, an epic night, and LSU had a lead late. Les Miles called a timeout with like 25 seconds left on the play clock and gave Alabama way too much time. We went for it on 4th down, didn't get it. Could have tried to kick a field goal and possibly, added to the lead and made it to where all they could do was tie us. Instead, they go down, they march down the field. A.J. McCarron was like 1 for 7 the whole second half passing and just goes like 5 for 5, march right down the field. And we had him like 3rd and 4, 3rd and 8, something like that. And John Chavis brought the house, and they just, of course, because they knew that's what he was going to do, they just planned a little dump off screen to TJ Yeldon. He houses it. But that, again, it's back to that. If you have them on the hook, you have to set the hook and get them in the boat.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't play around with them because they're going to jump off the hook.
We had him down to the wire. We always talk about our stories, but we had him down to the wire 2012, 4 yards short. And then we had Tua's arrival. in 2018. You know what I mean? So, and you know, we just us and Alabama back on quarterback just don't get along. It is what it is. But you know, shout out Alabama for somehow not losing, still being 6-1.
Yeah,
7-1
I will say
6-1, 7-1 at this point.
7-1. Yeah, I will say though, like, this year's team is a little bit different. Like I really feel like, so first of all, this Alabama current incarnation gives you a lot more opportunities than past incarnations have.
Yeah, but you still got to take them.
But you have to take them. And the one thing that I'm optimistic about for next weekend is I think this LSU offense has more than enough capability to take advantage of every opportunity that they afford them. This is not, you know, all due respect. Look, Joe Milton ain't no Jaden Daniels. Okay. Like it's not the same offense. So I'm pretty optimistic. I was talking with a friend of mine this week. I'm not going to say that I expect us to win in the sense that like I'm guaranteeing it or anything, but I'm not afraid of it. I'm not like worried about this game. I know I'm going to be upset if we don't win because I feel like LSU should win.
Yeah, it's
like I definitely feel like LSU should win, even with all the secondary issues and the issues that they've had on defense. They've gotten a lot better. They've tightened some things up, and you can just see it from an execution standpoint. Forget about the opponent. Forget that they were playing Auburn and Army. Even the second half against Missouri, they played much, much better than they did the previous like 8 quarters against Arkansas in that second half, the whole game against Ole Miss, and then the first half against Missouri. LSU's defense, it was like they went into like a black hole for that 8-quarter period.
Yeah.
And now they've come out of it on the other side, I think, much, much better, more disciplined. And so I'm optimistic that they'll get it done. It's kind of crazy that Alabama's favored by a touch, but we'll get into that for next week.
Yeah. So don't get too far ahead of yourself now.
Yeah. But yeah, let's go back to the SEC scoreboard because
I want to before you even look at the other one, scroll all the way down.
Scroll all the way down.
Scroll all the way down.
All right. Yeah.
Show them yours is different than mine. Where is it? Where is this Mississippi State? There it is. Mississippi State, Arkansas. There it is. Yeah. It's different than how I have it.
What a gem that was. What a gem.
That was almost as boring as Ohio State, Penn State.
Where was that Arkansas offense against LSU? You know, like they gave me a heart attack, and they couldn't even get in the end zone against Mississippi State, and then Mississippi State only gives up the 3 points, and you know we hung 41 on them. Like I don't know, I don't get it.
Like
something got in the water. Neither one of them wanted to win the game, I guess. I don't know. That was
like, I was gonna say like nobody wanted to win it, you know, and they both couldn't lose it. So you know what I mean? That's just terrible. Mizzou beat South Carolina. That's like that score is not that shocking to me. Mizzou is, I would say, definitely without a doubt the second best team in the SEC. Like I don't want to like act like I'm tooting my own horn too much, but like, you know, unless they beat us, they're the second best team until that point.
I'm telling you, listen, Brady Cook, Luther Burden, and then that Schrader kid running the ball. He had 160 yards against South Carolina.
Yeah,
on the ground. A Division II walk-on who
so
like
crazy.
Ends up like, how are you a Division II walk-on and now you're like damn near leading the SEC in rushing yards? What the hell's going on?
Poor recruiting. That's what it is. I know,
right? But
listen, Justin Jefferson was a 2-star recruit. You know, these things happen.
Right. So Ole Miss Auburn, like I'm not gonna lie, I was really
closer than you
really felt like this was Auburn's chance to like sneak up and get somebody.
Yeah.
And they had them and they couldn't finish the job. They couldn't they let them get out to a lead in the second half, and then that was it. That was pretty much all she wrote. They tried to make a little run at it at the end, but just didn't have enough. And Quinshon Judkins, talking about good running backs. I mean, he's just the dude's just good.
Animal.
Man. He's
animal. He runs with a purpose. Obviously, everybody does, but like when he runs so mean. It's so angry. Like, I like him a lot. I think that he's like a freshman too, there, right?
No, he's been there for a couple.
Okay, never mind. I was just like, ignore me.
It's all good. We don't have to ignore you, but I will show you. He is a sophomore though, so he's.
Okay, I knew that he wasn't like. I knew that he was like.
I knew he had played last year. I just didn't realize he had only been there 1 year. That's crazy. Yeah. Dude's good. Dude's a monster. Yeah. So, and speaking of monsters, Jaden Daniels, that 279 yards passing that you see there, that was 11 of 15 passing, all in the first half with 3 touchdowns. And I think he had let's pull it up here. He had a rushing touchdown as well. Where are the stats? There it is. 11 of 15, 279 and 3. And then he had 5 rushes for 6 yards and a touchdown, all in the first half. So they let him get his Heisman numbers. And
I said, okay,
said, all right, that's
good.
enough. We're just going to go back. We're going to go to the locker room now, and you're not coming back out again.
Yeah, well, exactly.
So,
and there was some decent. I mean, like I would say, like as much of a snoozer as Arkansas, Mississippi State was, that didn't have as high expectations as say Penn State, Ohio State. That was also, a snoozer if we broaden that, last weekend out just a little bit.
It's been a long time since I saw a quarterback play that was that bad. That was now, Ohio State did a little bit better, but man, that was what was that kid like
McCord?
He was wonderful. Huh? No.
McCord?
No, the kid for
Penn State.
For Penn State.
Oh, Drew Lar.
Yeah, he was what was his number? 18 for 42. That's right. I knew it was under 50%. 18 for 42. I'm surprised he didn't get picked. Nobody got
picked. And they went 0 for 11 in third down conversions.
But those two quarterbacks were combined 40 for 77. Which, I mean, it's better than 50%, but not much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was
and then UNC, we do what's hilarious is I think we might have given UNC the kiss of death last weekend. Because, like, at the very end of the episode, we were like, it's Florida State to win until, the ACC is Florida State as long as UNC doesn't lose. And then, boom, UVA shows up, knocks UNC off. We got a decent weekend here in the top 25 coming up if we look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, we have Florida down there in Jacksonville, I'm losing my train of thought. Duke, Louisville, not too terrible. Washington, Stanford. Tennessee plays Kentucky though, and that listen, I think that.
Are you're going through through the SEC stuff? Well, damn, I thought you were. I'm sitting.
I was talking about the whole weekend. I was
trying to pull up the total, all the college football stuff or whatever. But let's just go through.
I'm talking about top 25 right now.
Yeah, well, let's go through SEC real quick first, because I've got that pulled up here. So, South Carolina, Texas A&M. Again, not all of these games are necessarily going to be, top 25 or big matchup worthy, but these are good games. Texas A&M, South Carolina in College Station. That's going to be a good game. I expect that to be a tight one where I think A&M should win that game, but I don't know. We've talked about it. Like, this is where Texas 8-4 shows themselves to be who they actually are. Scrolling down, you got Mississippi State and Auburn at Jordan-Hare. That's another one where you get, two teams where it doesn't look pretty on paper, but the winner of that game is in a decent spot in the SEC. Mm-hmm. Like they're not in a great position, but Auburn's looking for their first win.
I was going to say Auburn 0-4.
You could still put some stuff together to where you could finish, in the, I don't know, instead of finishing in the bottom 2, you could be in the middle of the pack in the SEC. And I think at this point, if you're not Alabama, Ole Miss, or LSU, middle of the pack is about the best you can hope for everybody who's left in the West. So that's at least a good matchup in terms of the teams being fairly equally matched. Georgia, Florida, the big cocktail party. We talked about it a good bit earlier, but Tennessee, Kentucky, like you talked about, here's one where you got two teams, 2-2 in the SEC, a chance to move up the East Division rankings and get into one of those, because this is where you start positioning yourself if you're a Tennessee or a Kentucky or an Ole Miss, LSU, if you're not in first in your division, and even A&M, if they could actually get back on their winning ways, that's where you start to get those opportunities to play in one of those better bowl games. because now you're SEC number 5 or 6 instead of SEC number 8, 9, 10.
For our SEC bowl record that we all care about so much. So everybody else cares about our bowl record except for us.
Except for us. Like, I don't care. I don't care. What I do know, though, is that the SEC bowl record is always inflated in the negative direction.
Yeah, we talked about this before.
It's like it'll be Vanderbilt against like
the runner-up of the Big Ten
champion. You know, like it'll be like the American Athletic Conference champion against Vanderbilt, and then they're like, "Look at that!" And like, your champion beat our 10th best school.
Or it's like
what are you talking about?
Or it's like or like Kentucky is playing like Ohio State, or like something, you know what I mean, like something ridiculous, or it's like the runner-up. Or it's like Oregon is playing Auburn, you know what I mean? And it's just like, what are you gonna do? But yeah, nobody cares about our bowl. We don't care about our bowl record, but everybody else does. And then what do you think? Ole Miss and Vandy. Oh, look at them.
Yeah, that's not one of the ones that I was gonna say is a good one to look at. But let's go to the top 25 scoreboard so that we can get a little bit more exciting action. I don't know about this Florida State Wake Forest game. Florida State, if they don't take care of business, they've got some serious problems. They're favored by 3 touchdowns. Oklahoma, Kansas, I think is a real interesting one.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it all comes down to what kind of quarterback play does Kansas get? You know, the way they've been playing recently versus the old, last year with Jalen Daniels, not Jaden Daniels, but Jalen Daniels. A different team. They're still a quality, roster top to bottom. But I think Oklahoma, the time for Oklahoma to lose was last week when I picked them to lose against Central Florida. And they almost did it.
They did. I know. Which is crazy because they beat Texas and then they do that.
I know. Well, but that's why I had that game picked. I had it circled for that very reason. I think they bounce back and take care of Kansas. Penn State, Indiana. If you don't beat Indiana in this game, I don't know what you're doing.
Indiana's won
5 touchdowns in that one. We talked about this one already. Okay, BYU, Texas. I think BYU is a little better than people give them credit for.
Oregon, Utah, though.
Yeah, but so Oregon, Utah is another one where like we keep talking about Cam Rising and he keeps not being available, and Utah keeps being Utah.
Good.
Even without him. So at this point, I'm almost like, maybe they need him to stay away. Like just sit out the rest of the year and come back next year with like a 4th medical red shirt or something like that, and then give it a go. Pitt, Notre Dame, like Pitt is always kind of sneaky. And we saw what they did a couple of weeks ago. I don't know who is Notre Dame at this point.
That guy Estime is a dog, though.
Audric Estime is a monster, but that whole roster from top to bottom, I think, is on. They're kind of like like a marble on a glass tabletop, where I feel like either they can run the table and get themselves into a really nice bowl game. Probably not in the national championship conversation, but possibly on the outside of that conversation looking in.
Yeah.
Or they could lose 2 more games.
Yeah.
Because I think that they had such high hopes that they were going to get things done against Ohio State. And then, then they cough up another one. It's just like, man, their season is starting to unravel right before their eyes. Duke, Louisville. Man, this was an incredible matchup 2 weeks ago. And now it's just like, what could have been. It's still a good matchup, but it doesn't – like they could have both been undefeated going into this game.
I know, dude.
Could you imagine Duke, Louisville playing for the ACC championship this weekend pretty much?
We're not talking basketball either.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
we're not talking basketball.
What's funny about that, you say that, but I swear, bro, like as soon as they started – starting to talk about the season coming up and basketball practice starting and everything, they were just like, yeah, you're right. What are we thinking? We don't play football here.
It's like,
it's time for us to start taking L's. Like, what the hell, man? This is crazy. Oh shoot!
It's like, oh yeah, we're not a football school. Silly. That's right.
Right. So Tulane Rice, take care of business. Tulane's on pace to go to another solid bowl game and knock off a Heisman Trophy winner potentially in that one again, like they did last year with this guy right here, Caleb Williams and the USC Trojans
down to
Cal
24.
at Cal.
Oh my goodness! Goodbye playoff for them.
24th, and they're only favored by 10 in this game.
And Cal stinks.
Cal's terrible. They're 1-3 in the Pac-12, 3-4 overall. Yeah, like it's -10 is just crazy to me. But what are you gonna do? Like USC can't stop anybody. So
no, they cannot. That's the thing. You can't just. Your game plan cannot be have to score 60 points to win the. We have to put up 60 if we want to win. Mm-hmm. That is not a solid game plan.
No.
Like I know that like USC is known for producing offensive talent, but like you gotta have somebody out there. Jeez, just get Troy Polamalu to put on a helmet one time, and I'm sure he'll do something. Jesus.
Somebody who can stop somebody somewhere. Please.
Yeah. Ohio State, Wisconsin, nothing too crazy. I mean, listen, Stanford, who knows against Washington? Watch out, everybody.
Yeah. Well, so let's look at this one because, Washington, Stanford. I did not see that one coming last week, especially not playing in Washington. But Arizona State gave them a serious run for their money. And if they don't throw that pick six late. Huh?
No, I'm talking to myself. That Arizona did that to USC, not Arizona State.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so this was Arizona State this weekend against Washington. And then Stanford is the one who came back on Colorado. Now, Washington ain't Colorado, number one. Their defense is much better than that. And I think that was Stanford's little, that was their highlight for their season. And I think Washington got that wake-up call that I don't anticipate Washington looking that ugly again. Now, they're going to have some other opportunities to slip up later on in the season, but this ain't it, in my opinion. Air Force, Colorado State. I don't see how Air Force doesn't take care of business in this one. They're favored by 2 touchdowns. That should be a pretty easy win for them. Wild. Ohio State, Wisconsin. I don't know. What do you think? You think Wisconsin has a chance to ugly this one up at home in Madison?
I don't like. Listen, this Ohio State team has been so weird, dude. It's like they are not as good as 7-0. Like they just aren't. Like I'm sorry. Like, will it be Wisconsin to do it? I don't know. I think it might not even come it might not come to Michigan, unfortunately. They might have to wait to get humbled then, but who even knows what's happening with his Michigan program at this point?
Right.
I don't even know what all was going on there. Even unpack that, and we could probably talk about that for an hour if we really wanted to.
Yeah, there's crazy stuff they're talking about. Like this might be like an inside job to try to take over the program or something.
Yeah, I don't even know what all the situation is. So I'm not going to pretend to know what's going on.
Yeah. I'll say this though. I will say this. You hear that I've heard this rumor that allegedly there were a couple of guys who came up with this plot that they have like this Google document with all this stuff that they've written out, this whole like plan or whatever of the Michigan manifesto or something like that, and I don't know, some kind of mutiny or whatever they want to call it.
They want to get Jim Harbaugh out of there? What
that sounds like to me is what I hear when I hear something like that is this is a 2 weeks in the making circling of the wagons, because I'm pretty sure this is all authorized, all this recording and everything. And none of this is not, it's a crazy stretch of the imagination to think that a couple of guys said, hey, you know what? Let's take down Harbaugh and take over the program. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to go buy tickets in our own names and video opponent sidelines so we can get their calls so that we can use them in games. And then we're going to expose ourselves. And then it's going to get Harbaugh in trouble. And then like what? Like, really,
Yeah.
this is their thing they cooked up, and they didn't, and at no point did one of them say, oh, but this is going to have our names all over it, so we're probably going to get busted, and we're not going to get to take over anything. And so, like, no, like, this to me sounds like whatever was going on came from the top.
Yeah.
I that's just me. And you know, with all due respect to all the Michigan fans who may be out there, I know we got Jeremiah and Drew and some other Ohio State fans who are probably loving every minute of that whole debacle, but I'm not buying the conspiracy theory that somehow this is not Jim Harbaugh's doing.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. It is crazy out here. Also, shout out James Madison being a ranked team.
That's and undefeated.
Undefeated ranked team.
Also not bowl eligible again.
Yeah. Like, wait, that's right. What do they don't become bowl?
This is their last year. They're bowl eligible next year. They went 8-3 last year, couldn't be in a bowl game. They're 7-0 this year, cannot be in a bowl game. It's like that team that went crazy in whatever conference it was last year and couldn't go to the NCAA tournament.
Bellarmine, yes. They because they can't get there yet. Yeah, crazy stuff. Listen,
I don't understand those rules. Like, why wouldn't you make it? I mean, I could see if you went down in classification, not being, because then you could just be like, hey, let's just go down and then we'll make the playoffs next year.
Yeah.
But like upgrading yourself, you should be eligible immediately.
Yeah, it's like, you know, just because you're good immediately doesn't make it a bad thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. All right. So Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, we already went through. Colorado, UCLA. I don't know. Does Colorado have another Pac-12 upset in them?
Shoot. I mean, you never know with these boys out here, man.
Yeah. Who knows? We'll see. It'll and it's just still crazy to me that as much as their season has been up and down, that Shedeur Sanders is still like, he's right there with a lot of the best quarterbacks.
Yes, I'm telling you.
2,400 yards, 21 touchdowns, only 3 picks. That's still pretty good. North Carolina, probably not going to fumble the ball away to Georgia Tech and let them get an easy win like Miami did. But, man, I bet they wish they had that game last week back. Old Dominion and James Madison, yeah, we talked about it. They're, 7-0 in the Sun Belt and have a chance to really make a mark, but they unfortunately will not have a chance to play in a bowl game. And then Oregon State goes on the road to Arizona. Arizona has already given USC a run for their money earlier this year. Can they do it with Oregon State? And will DJ Uiagalelei, will he have enough to get it done? I don't know. I like Oregon State in this game, even though they're playing on the road. What do you think?
I mean, listen, Arizona almost, shocked USC. So who's to say they can't take down Oregon State?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got to say. All I know is the dogs are going down to Jacksonville tomorrow, Halloween weekend. Things get spooky down at the cocktail party.
There you go.
LSU has the bye, toughest opponent of the year. I know. We played them last week. You got to play them this week. These things happen. You know what I mean?
I just hope we have enough guys ready in the secondary to cover those Alabama receivers so that we can, we can get enough pressure on Jalen Milroe.
I can see it in your eyes. You're just like, oh, please, come on. Like, yeah. I can feel this whole episode is that like all your feelings right now are building up to the Alabama game in 2 weeks.
Yes, I don't care about anything else, but I hope they're just they're training the guys up. Like, hey, what position did you play in high school? All right, you can play corner. Like, I'm walking around asking people
hardest position in football.
Do you still have any eligibility left? And can you play corner?
Yeah,
it's like 45-year-old dudes who have a beer gut. I'm still asking them if they can play corner.
Only the hardest position in football. No big deal. Like legitimately.
I know for sure, especially in the SEC. Like it's crazy.
Come on now.
But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to be rooting for you guys because I don't want to. I hate Florida.
Atlanta.
I have no animosity towards the Georgia program or the Georgia faithful. I cannot stand Florida. It goes back to the Steve Spurrier years and even after that to the Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow years. Like, nah, screw those guys.
Yeah.
So.
I'm ready for it, man. Listen, the push to the postseason starts now.
That's right.
With us against Florida and y'all against Bama next week. The push to the postseason starts right now. all eyes on Atlanta for the South Endzone podcast to have more content. That's what we want. That's what we do here.
Look, we're not asking much.
Yeah.
Just an LSU Georgia rematch in the SEC championship, and
it's not
then
that hard.
both of us in the playoff.
Yes.
Like, come on.
Like, it's not that much we're asking here.
Get it done.
Yeah, geez, script writers, get on it.
Yeah. Speaking of getting stuff done, if you like what you hear here, share this show with your friends and your family, all your college football fan circle. And don't forget to like and give us a comment. If you think we're out of our minds, tell us why and make your argument. But the SEC is the best conference there is in all of sports. And with that, this is the South Endzone. I'm Chad. He's Tyler. We're out of here. See y'all later. Peace.
Later.